1, 2, oh the grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, then he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up, and when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down. Oh the grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up, and when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down. Hello and welcome to this lesson on the fine old tune, The Grand Old Duke of York. And I say tune, it's really a song, isn't it? We can sing it and we can play it on this lovely one row Melodeon in the key of C major. This is a Hohner 1040, a 1040C, because it's in C major. And so this side is where we get our tune from. This is the sort of treble side. This side is the bass side, it's where we get all our chords and our bass notes from. And just in case this is your first ever lesson on the Melodeon, let's just talk about a few basics. I'm using a one strap arrangement here. There is also a thumb strap here which you can put your thumb through. I'm not going to do that for this tune because I'm actually going to be playing the top 4 buttons all the while and it's a little bit uncomfortable, but a lot of people do use the thumb strap. Some people remove it. I mean, ideally I would have 2 straps on the Melodeon. All my other Melodians I use 2 straps on. So I'm going to hold the Melodeon with my thumb round the back like this. Turn that round for you so you can see, and my fingers over the top, and kind of curl the fingers round. Like I said, we're only going to be using these 4 buttons here, the 4 nearest the ceiling, and the left hand of course is going to give us the chords. This song comprises 16 bars, kind of 2 lots of 8, and in fact the chord pattern, the bass accompaniment is more or less the same for both sets of 8 bars, so that's handy, isn't it? Now let's just talk about this left hand, because your Melodeon might be slightly different to mine. It might look the same as this, but what often happens is these buttons are swapped round. Now I've got C bass, a C major chord on those 2 buttons on the push. That means pushing the bellows in as I play those buttons. And if I play those buttons and pull out, I've got G major. So C major, G major, and these 2 buttons down here give me F major, F bass and F major chord on the pull and the push. Now what a lot of people do is they swap those around, so that the 2 buttons at the top are the F bass and the F major on the pull and the push, and the 2 buttons at the bottom are the C major and G major on the push and the pull. If you find that your Melodeon has got those buttons swapped around, obviously every time I tell you to play buttons 1 and 2, that's 1 and 2 from the top, play buttons 3 and 4 and vice versa. Sorry if that confuses you, but I think most Melodians of this nature are like mine, and I think it's fairly rare to swap them around, but not that rare, so you'll have to check. So if you play your button number 2, second one down, should be a C bass on the push. You'll get a C major chord from button number 1 on the push, and you'll get a G bass on the pull from button 2, and a G major chord on the pull from button number 1, and you'll get an F bass from button number 4 on the pull and the push, and you'll get an F major chord from button number 3 on the pull and the push. Don't worry if your buttons are around the other way, it won't cause you any problem at all in playing this tune. If you look at the music, above each stave, if you're not sure what a stave is, it's the bank of 5 lines that we draw the notes on. Incidentally, please check out my music theory sheets that I've sent you, because they will help you if you are at all unsure about reading music. But on the second stave down, above the words Grand Old Duke of York, you can see the notes, and on top of that you can see capital letter C, lowercase c, capital letter C, so on and so forth. Right, when you see a capital letter C, that is a C bass note, so that would be this on this instrument. It might be button 4 for you. And if you see a lowercase c, it's a C chord, which is button 1 on this instrument, might be button 3 for you. So Capital letters are the bass notes. If you're not sure which is which, well, the bass note is kind of a single sound, and the chord you can hear is 3 sounds together. A chord of C is the notes C, E and G played together. A chord of G is the notes G, B and D played together. And a chord of F is the notes F, A and C played together. Okay, so capital letter is the bass note, lowercase or little letter is the chord. The bass line we're going to do is going to be the typical part, where the is the bass note and the pa is the chord. Okay, like that. When you play those first 2 notes in the right hand, you won't have to play anything with the left hand. And also on the very end of the tune, you won't do pa, you'll play a C bass and a C chord together. You can see them stacked one on top of the other on the 3rd page on the last bar there. And that'll be, as I say, those 2 buttons on this instrument. For you it might be these 2 down here on the push. Hold your melodeon so that it's kind of square. Try and make it so that the right hand is kind of towards the middle of your body, okay? Not over here on the right, okay? And you can kind of brace the instrument just by pushing against the strap if you've only got one strap, and a lot of people just had that one strap. Obviously the right hand stays stationary and the left hand obviously moves in and out quite a lot, okay? So watch out for that. Hold the thing properly, and when you do pull the bellows in and out, try and do it in a kind of square way. Don't kind of bring it down in a sort of a fan or let the left hand droop. That's something I used to do when I first played. The idea is to keep it straight, and then you get the same volume all the while. On the push, the air is coming out of the bellows, and on the pull, the air is coming in. And obviously, if you close the bellows right up, you won't get any sound. And also, if you pull the bellows the entire way up, you won't get any sound either. The sound is made by the air travelling across the reeds inside the instrument. I won't go into the technicalities of it all, but that's how it works. I know I'm talking an awful lot here without playing much, but these are all things you need to know before you actually start. And you see my hand has gone through the bass strap here. This is a little bit loose for me, but not sort of too bad. Try and make it so the hand is sort of trapped in there, not too loose, not too tight, and then you'll find it's much easier to pull the bellows in and out. So obviously pull the bellows out by pushing on that bass strap, okay? And obviously you close the bellows just by pushing inwards, okay? But your hand needs to go in as far as my hand is. Can you see that? And not there, so your fingers can't reach the buttons, and not too far in either. You need to get comfortable before you play this instrument, and if you find yourself getting aches and pains, that's a signal to stop and have a rest and come back. Don't keep going on and on and on. I was very keen when I first started playing, and I used to practice for hours, and then found I got lots of kind of niggly injuries in my neck and my fingers and my hands and so forth. So, you know, listen to your body. If it's starting to hurt, stop. One thing I would recommend is make sure your shoulders are relaxed. When I first started playing, I used to play with my shoulders hunched. I was so sort of tense. But relax, breathe, and sit in a chair that's comfortable so that your feet are on the ground. I know this is all sort of fairly boring stuff, but it's really going to help you in the long run. When you play your bass buttons, I recommend that you use one finger per button like I do. So I use my first finger on button 1, my second finger on button 2, my third finger on button 3, and my little finger on button 4. Make sure your hand is through the bass strap enough to reach that button 4. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people use just 3 fingers, some only use 2. You probably find the little finger is a bit weak and weedy at first, but trust me, it's really worth persevering with that. So that's my recommendation to you, and try hard to sort of stick with that. Like I say, you'll find it a bit weird for the first few weeks, but once you get used to it, it's an absolute no-brainer. You'll find that it's a really sensible and logical thing to do, and it will really help your playing, especially if you ever move on to a 2-row or a 3-row instrument. Likewise, in the tune, we're actually only playing at these 4 buttons, so I would suggest you use finger 1 on button 1, finger 2 on button 2, finger 3 on button 3, finger 4 on button 4. Obviously when you move down you have to kind of reorganise yourself, but you won't have to worry about this because we're only playing those 4 buttons. The tune is in the key of C major, which is the sort of key of this instrument, and that means there are no sharps or flats in the music. And I've also given you a chart that says notes used in this tune, that shows the 7 notes used in the tune. I'll just go through those for you. This note here on button 1, that's the one nearest the ceiling. If you press the button and push the bellows so that you're closing the bellows, that note is E. If you want to find that note in the music, it is on the word Duke in bar number 1. Now you might think the bar up the top is bar number 1, but it isn't. That's bar 0 because it's a pickup bar. It's an incomplete bar that we use to launch into the tune. So bar 1's on the 2nd stave down, 3rd note, Duke. You can see that note. Now it's underneath the 3rd ledger line. See those 3 little lines? Okay, those are extra lines that we need to house the notes if they go off the normal 5 lines of the stave. So that's the lowest note in the tune. It's the lowest note on your Melodeon, and it's called E. Okay, that's the note of E. If you go to button 2, next one down, and push in, you've got the note G. Okay, and if you play that same button and pull out, you've got the note B. So you've got E, G, B. If you go to button 3, finger 3 notice, push in, that's the note C. That's the root note of your tune if you like. Play the same button, pull out, you've got D. If you go to the 4th button, little finger, press the button down, push in, that's the note E. Play the same button and pull out, that's F, that's the highest note in the tune. So the notes are E, G, B, C, D, E, F. Now you probably noticed me changing the direction of the bellows there, and you probably noticed that I don't kind of yank the bellows left and right really hard. You don't need to change the bellows direction much to get a different note. If I play this note here, which is E, and pull out for F, see how little I go backwards and forwards, you see how little the bellows have to move to get the note.